Welcome back everyone to another Company Fears 2 replay cast, and this time it is going to be a 4v4 on General Mud sent in by Black Arion, playing as the UKF, spawning in the corner. He's going to be joined by ZZZ as the Soviets, Naps with more UKF, and Good Boy as Americans. On the opposing side, we're going to have Zurkov 007, Venom Ru, Xiaoluo, and Agile Fat, Free Wehrmacht, 1 OKW. So General Mud, pretty big map, of course, in case you do not know. Field points on either side with, of course, the VPs, pretty normal. Lots of mud in the center that's going to make vehicles very, very slow. That's where the map's name comes from. A couple of munitions right nearby the center point. And of course, quite a lot of these trees that block line of sight throughout the western side of the map and the right side of the map as well, although the right side and the center also get some buildings. Some of them ruined, some of them garrisonable. First engagement on the left side, we're going to have Venom Ru's engineers just fighting it off against these infantry sections from Naps. Naps is also going to have to fight this MG42, however, and the MG42 will probably push back these infantries. Unless, I mean, it's infantry section, so it does pretty well in the early game. Problem is, of course, with 2 machine guns, it is going to eventually be suppressed, and it's not going to be able to do too much. Black Aragon on the right side, selecting the Advanced Emplacement Regiment, already wants to fortify up the right side, I would guess. Also, he's going to have to fight Xiaoluo, so the OKW player. He's going to go for a Kübelwagen and a couple of Sturms. I think the Sturms are a bad idea on this map. Way too open of a map. You do not have the necessary cover to get to a close range with the enemy with those STG-44s, and so at this kind of a long range or medium range, you're going to get essentially shot while in the open, and you're not going to have any cover from, especially something like a British player with the cover bonus to rate of fire. As we saw, those infantry sections easily dispatched the Sturm Pioneers and sent them packing back to base. Not a lot of action going on. There's a little tiny bit of skirmishing on the left side. A couple of these MGs still blazing away. And yeah, the Allied infantry really cannot flank free MGs, so they're going to be forced away. And eventually, I'm guessing that the left side is going to fall to the Germans in its entirety. The center is being captured by Agile Fat. He's got a pretty standard array of normal units, so nothing too strange coming out of him. And he should be able to hold the center for quite a long time. Which is good, of course, because he doesn't really have the luxury of an open flank on the right. The flank on the right is being held by the Allies quite well, and I don't think that the Germans are going to be able to breach that anytime soon. So the extra VP and munitions is going to be very, very useful for him. We have a mortar from Black Aragon, of course, coming in with the advanced emplacements. He's got the ability to get the advanced assembly that's going to repair the emplacements and repair any vehicles, and also the improved fortifications for the extra armor on the emplacements. Nothing to be laughed at. Of course, he was also able to build the mortar earlier because of the advanced building, defensive operation, sorry, that allows the infantry sections to build the emplacements. So he's doing quite well. That mortar pit is going to be able to cover a quite wide area of the southeast of the map. And that is going to be good enough, I think, for our British to hold the VP, which is, of course, quite important, and also holding the field point as well, which is great. Right now, unfortunately, it looks like one of the infantry sections does go down to the Grenadiers, actually, from Agile Fat. Stood in the MG42 fire perhaps a little bit too long and allowed too much damage to fall on his poor infantry sections that were actually hiding in this building, if I recall correctly. He's also got 550 manpower, so he should probably be spending that on something. I would say at this point a couple of infantry sections would be very, very useful, just to keep a little bit of extra security around this 3-inch mortar emplacement to prevent something like this, with the Sturm Pioneers coming in with those Shreks. Now he's going to have to brace, most likely, unless this MG can deal with these Sturm Piles. It does, but it needs to pin them first before it actually is going to stop them from firing the P-Shrek. Fortunately, the Kübelwagen goes down. Stood in the MG fire a little bit too long. There's saw an M1910 Maxim gun blazing away as well as at the Grenadiers, but it's going to have to retreat, of course. Grenadiers as well retreating. Looks like the center is being recaptured by our other British player, Naps. With the Wasp Carrier, he's going to be able to roast any units that stay in buildings in the area. Especially since these are wooden buildings, this is going to be very, very effective. With the relatively long range of the Wasp Flamer, he's going to have an easy time clearing out the buildings, and also he's going to go for buffers in an interesting spot, with a house kind of blocking its line of sight, and with some fences doing pretty much the same. But overall, this should help in holding the center, as the mortar pit helped in holding the right side of the map for Black Aragon. There's a battle group headquarters in the area for Xiaoluo. He's trying to bring out a support gun, and he's also pushing up with his Storm Pioneer squads. Of course, he's going to be pretty much destroyed by the Buffers, but he does manage to wipe out one of the infantry sections. Probably because Naps was not really paying attention to them. You could say he was napping. Haha, so funny. Anyway, so we have a mortar half-track coming fragile flat, and that, along with the support gun, should be enough to at least counter the mortar pit a little bit, forcing it to stand brace mode a little bit longer than usual. And also maybe do something up against Naps's buffers, which could work out for the axis in the center. On the left side, we have these Grenadiers pushing up, trying to recapture some points around the center, it seems. Counterattacking against Naps, but nothing really too major seems to be coming out of it. He is very much anchored by, I mean Zurkov, he's very much anchored on the left side, along with his friend Venom. So, of course, I don't really see too much happening on the left side. I mean, there's no allied forces in the area. Looks like Good Boy is focusing mostly on the center. He's bringing up some reinforcements for his British teammate, which is, of course, a not terrible idea when you cannot capture the left. And also he's putting up some fuel caches around the map, which is very, very good, because that's going to allow a little bit of extra resource flow into the bank for the allies, and that's going to be quite good considering they're at a disadvantage when it comes to territory. So despite the fact that he cannot recapture the left side for his team, he can still provide some extra resources by building up those caches, and that's quite fine. But the allies, if they want to sort of regain their advantage, they're gonna need to push up a little bit more aggressively on all sides. Especially the center part is a little bit vulnerable, so what they could try to do is flank around from this opening in the center to the left side, just flanking all the MGs and all the bunkers and trying to take them out, especially with the support of the captain from Good Boy. He's also going to have a steward if he wants. He's got a ton of resources, but he might be going for a major, who knows. Still, with the support of any light vehicle, the allies could in general just do a lot of damage to the left side and perhaps capture some points back. But hey, we'll see what they decide to do. In the meantime, it looks like some guards riflemen are trying to stop this little flow of Germans on the right, and along with a couple of conscripts, they should be able to do that. The half-track there should be an easy prey for... never mind. No anti-tank grenades, that's unfortunate. What grenades there are, though, are the rifle grenades, dealing a lot of damage to these conscripts and wiping out both squads. Very excellent play from Agile Flat, managing to get quite a lot of work done, destroying 2 conscript squads, forcing them to be rebuilt or be replaced by guards who are more expensive. So ZZZ going for mortar coordination, guard mortar coordination tactics. Of course, very, very strong Gotham with the T-3485s later on. You all know it, especially 120mm mortar can also help out. Just giving the Allied superiority when it comes to light artillery right now, it seems like this is going to be quite the useful thing, especially since the support guns are focusing on the mortar pits from Black Aragon, so that means that the 120mm mortar can just very, very safely barrage the headquarters, the battle headquarters, doing damage to it and avoiding damage done to itself. Now, in the center, more counterattacks from the Germans push away the Brits from Naps. Naps has gone for nothing. He still hasn't chosen a doctrine. He could have Commander Regiment, Royal Artillery, and Royal Engineers. I wouldn't mind a Royal Engineers player to be on the Allied side, just to get that AVRE on the field, getting some extra utility for destroying emplacements and big blobs of infantry. adding extra capabilities to the Allied arsenal, that would not be too bad. Also, Good Boy. Good Boy has the Heavy Cavalry Company. That means the Pershing, very, very strong, and also some Rangers, although he doesn't seem to be getting out any Rangers. He's got a Major on the field, so the Major is going to be quite good for the retreat point on General Mud, because General Mud is a very, very big map. So if you can plop a Major down about halfway from the front line to your base and get an ambulance out there, that's going to help out with the sort of retreat and walk back time by quite a bit. Going to allow your forces to stay in the fight for longer, and thus giving you more map control and more duration in the fight. In the meantime, it looks like these infantry sections are taking huge casualties from both artillery and rifle fire, and they're going to have to retreat with one of the squads going completely down the drain. So Naps right now losing tons of squads. Right now just left with 2 Royal Engineers and a infantry section. He's got a forward assembly up here that can be used, and actually he's been using the coordinated fire to get some extra artillery support down. Although with only 1 gun, that wasn't really doing too much. Now he's going to upgrade the company command post. Company command post, of course, going to allow him access to armor. He has gone for Royal Artillery, actually. He has selected that right now, and I'm not entirely sure that that's a good decision. I mean, yeah, he's going to be able to go for the Valentine Observation Detachment, which is, of course, not too bad. Observation Detachment Valentine is a pretty decent little vehicle that can give you quite a lot of intel support on the enemy, and thus give you some extra warning as to what they might be trying to do. But at the same time, I just don't see somebody who has lost basically his entire forces as a player that should be going for Royal Artillery. You should probably want to go for something that can help you out in replenishing your normal forces and giving them some extra support. Royal Artillery, as I see it, is more something that you pick whenever you have a bit of an established position and can afford to play defensive. But that's just kind of my opinion. Right now, it seems like ZZZ has gone for a T-3476. That's a T-3476. Yeah, oh no, that's actually an 85. So he's going for the T-3485. Of course, pretty good against the Stug if you can flank it. Going to be very, very good against the Ostwind. No, it's the Stug-Ostwind tactics. Oh, damn it. More Stugs and Ostwinds in combination. People just really like those. So along with the Sherman's going to deal with the infantry, as we can see, with those HE rounds. Very, very strong. Might be able to wipe out that Grenadier. Yep, it does. Unfortunately, it looks like the Sherman's going to go down to the Stug. If the Stug is ambitious and chases after the Sherman, I'm pretty sure that there isn't nothing that can save this American tank. Yeah, I'm guessing that it's going to go down. Yep, that is the problem of sending your Sherman in alone without any support. You should definitely have brought up your infantry to support. And Good Boy also has some extra manpower up his sleeve, so he could have gone for an AT gun. He has Captain tier unlocked, so he could have gone for an AT gun just to get a little bit of extra support for that, and now he's going to be forced to fall back upon a Jackson. And that's, of course, really good and all, but you would have probably preferred to go for the Jackson when you had the Sherman still, so that you had the extra bit of anti-infantry support from the Sherman. But oh well. So T-3485 coming for the center. That's probably a bad idea. I mean, I don't see any pack guns in the area. There is one all the way to the left side, and no Raken Burpers from Xiaoluo as well. Xiaoluo has been losing a lot of forces, it seems, and he's lost his battery headquarters also to the pressure of the mortar pits. Mortar pits racking up 23 kills, so definitely doing their job quite nicely, but I wasn't ever really doubting that for 1 second. Of course, the mortar, 120mm mortars from the Soviet player also helping out with that regard. So the right side, definitely very strong, and there goes the T-3485 to the Stug 3G. How is it possible that the Stug took it down without receiving any extra damage, especially considering 3 Piat squads were in the area? I have no idea, but that's of course very, very good for Zhurkov. The problem with Zhurkov is that he's sort of floating a lot of manpower. He's got 1400 manpower. That's way too much. You don't really need all that manpower sitting in bank. Perhaps a couple of mortars and a couple of AT guns would be very, very good for him right now. The mortars to help deal with the forward assembly, and also then to support his allies against the British emplacements fam. And of course, the pack guns to secure against any allied armor swarm that might be coming your way. But he is sitting kind of pretty on his laurels. He is doing just fine, and he's gone for an Ostwind and a Stug. Of course, Ostwind and Stug. Kind of ironic though that Naps says you enjoy your mortar spam because his allies are spamming mortars even more than the Germans. But oh well, so Naps is not very happy about this. Of course, there's 2 mortars from Venom actually. So Venom Brew going for mortars, and he's also purchasing a Panther. Although that's an interesting choice considering he's got Mechanized Assault? Yeah, Mechanized Assault Doctrine with the Tiger. And oh, interesting. Well, the Yellow Cube of Doom is here. I'm not sure what for, but oh well. We're graced by its presence. Yeah, so Panther coming out for him. Interesting choice. I would say that, well, the Panther is, of course, very strong, especially on a map that kind of favors vehicles that are quick and have quite a bit of armor, so you don't have to like run around the entire map and be slow and have to be repaired at your base, etc., etc. The Panther, I'm not sure about, you know, if it's a good choice right now, because it seems like Venom Rue is really lacking when it comes to anti-infantry. He's got 2 mortars, sure, and a couple of machine guns, but he's really lacking in normal infantry. He's gone for another Grenadier squad, so he at least knows that he needs to get some extra bodies on the front line. So I guess he could work out with the Panther, but overall I still think that going for something a little bit more versatile at this point might have been better for him, and in fact he's going to feel the pain when it comes to the empty infantry, because here comes a bunch of Americans. Of course, looks like only a couple of bazookas in the middle of that blob, but that's still enough to at least pepper the Panther at the frontal armor and make it, well, annoyed. Very annoyed. Although, very nice light artillery barrage along with the MG42 bunker over here does stop the American assault dead in its tracks. Speaking of dead in its tracks, very nice rifle grenade. At least stops the Panther for a while. And wow, that was incredibly lucky. So the Panther 75mm armor piercing shoots and snipes a captain guy, thus destroying the squad. So that's the end of that. Along with a Valentine on the left side, it seems like this Jackson and a Centaur are going to try to make a play for the Panther. I think that that's a very big mistake. I mean, unless the Centaur and the Valentine somehow manage to absorb the shots for the Jackson, and the Jackson can get quite a lot of penetrating hits, then yeah, that's going to be good, but otherwise that's going to end a disaster. Meantime, right side of the map, looks like we have a couple of Stugs and a Ostwind just trying to push up on the mortars, and here right now, Black Aragon is really feeling the lack of AT. He's got a couple of Piat sections, but other than that, he's very much behind when it comes to the AT. I guess he wanted to go for some 17-pounder action, but I don't know. He's got the hammer tactics, so he could go for a Comet. He could go for a lot of things, really. I think that a Comet wouldn't be too bad of an idea, considering this kind of armored, I guess, battle group that he's facing. That's all very light armor with decent anti-armor capabilities from the 2 Stugs, but the Comet's mobility can definitely deal with Stugs. And here comes a precision barrage, but unfortunately misses. Pretty decent dodge on Zurkov. Agile Fat going for a P4. He has gone for, is that joint operations? No, that is Festung support. So he's gone for Festung support. Of course, that gives him access to the LEFH artillery piece. That could be useful later on to deal with the British emplacement spam. One of the mortars goes down finally, so that's going to open up the right side of the map a little bit more for the Germans. That could be a good bit of action for them. The problem is that, of course, they've still got this one mortar pit to deal with. It's got the well, does it have counter battery? Yes, it does, but it's actually different from what I remember. It's actually a 30 munitions ability. Okay. Well, so he's still going to be able to counter the Axis artillery whenever it decides to hit him. Of course, if the Axis artillery that is hitting him is right near the base, it is an LEFH artillery from joint operations, that's going to be way out of range of the 3-inch. And we do have a Comet tank from Black Aragon. He's also got enough resources to go for a second one, so that's overall quite good for him. Right now, it seems like well, let's see. Xiao Luo has gone for fortifications. Fortifications also has the LEFH artillery, but it's also got the PaK-43 emplacements, just like joint operations for the Wehrmacht. So later on, in case the Allies start to run low when it comes to artillery, in case the Germans manage to somehow take out a lot of the artillery pieces and the mortars, then the PaK-43 is going to be a very viable option for dealing with armor, but not before that. Right now, it would be a pretty rash decision to go for a PaK-43 anywhere on the front line, because it would just go down to all the mortars anyway. So it would be pretty bad for our Axis players to just waste 600 manpower. Right now, it looks like the left side is being recaptured by Naps, kind of. I mean, he's got his Centaur. He's lost his Valentine in some action, and now the Centaur is going to be set upon by the Panther. And the Firefly is still back at base, trying to catch up. Unfortunately, I think that this is going to be the end of the Centaur, although there's a couple of Jacksons and the Firefly, of course, coming in for the Allies. So this could be overall a bait, although I'm not really seeing any snares to go on the Panther. So it looks like the Panther is going to be able to destroy the Centaur and then get out. Although, very, very luckily, the amount of HP that was repaired by these sappers was enough to keep it alive. The Panther escapes right outside these trees. The Jacksons give a little bit of chase, but they're going to be walking right into a Zeri artillery? Wait, what is that? Concentration barrage. Yeah, okay, never mind. So they walked right into the concentration barrage from Naps, but that, of course, didn't do anything. The Jacksons are still giving chase. This could be a very, very bad decision, and it could lead to the destruction of both of these Jacksons, although looks like the only enemy vehicles that were in the area were a couple of Stugs and Austin's. Still quite safe play from the Jacksons retreating back. In my opinion, a very good play as well, because he did not want to lose those in any foolish ways, which he would have definitely done had he stayed. Right now, it seems like we have a flank coming in for TT-3485 against the Panzer IV. Panzer IV was trying to deal with that Bofors. Of course, also coming in with a marked vehicle from ZZZ's Doctrine, and that's going to be the end of the P4. A decently small victory, but a victory nonetheless, especially considering that now the Brumbear from Agile Fat is going to be basically defenseless against the Allied armor in the area. So this is, of course, very, very nice for them. Right now, a couple of rebuilt Sturmpios are dealing with fuel caches. Very, very good play coming in from Sialois. Certainly does not want the Allies getting in all those resources from the caches. Actually, that was a munitions cache. Well, still, doesn't want the Allies getting any of that, and so comes in with a couple of, I mean, decently, at this point, expendable, considering that they don't have any veterancy, and of course, quite good at dealing with buildings with the Panzerschrecks. So that's quite nice for them. At this point, it looks like the left side is going to be under attack from a Königstiger from Sialois, so he was going for the KT. KT, unfortunately, is without any support and is going to run right into a Allied infantry line, which is going to pepper it with anti-tank rifle grenades, along with 3 tank destroyers in the rear. They're going to definitely take out this KT. It's in the middle of enemy lines, and it doesn't have a working engine, so it is going to go down most likely, unless the Allies just literally leave it alive for no reason, but it goes down in a ball of flame. That is very unfortunate. Right now, it seems like the Stugs are coming in to support, along with a pack gun, which could have been very, very dangerous for the Allied vehicles if it wasn't for the fact that KT had just died. Ooh, interesting. So there goes the Stug. There goes the AT gun right in the jaws of the Rifleman Blob. And, of course, a Stuka bombing strike missed over there, which is an interesting little thing. Zurkov also going for the Elephant to replace his last Stug. So definitely upping the ante when it comes to anti-vehicle. Although, overall, I'm not sure that's a good idea, because, of course, well, actually, no, it is. It actually is. The Allies have a lot of tank destroyers, and so the Elephant's going to help deal with those for his normaler vehicles. There goes that Jackson main gun destroyed. Why did it continue to move there? I have no clue. Unfortunately for the Germans, an amazing snipe from this Jackson over a screen away, and also through the trees, destroys the Stub. Very, very, very good play. And very, very lucky for Good boy. Had forgotten the name. Also, of course, he's lost the first Jackson, so that's still a pretty much good trade for the Germans. No, I mean, they did lose the KT and the other Stug earlier on. But if it had been just that, then that would have been a pretty good trade for the Germans. A Stug for a Jackson, I'd take that any day if I were the Wehrmacht. So let's check out Black Arion. He's still got his Comet doing quite well. Well, I mean, he's staying alive. He's got a kill. He's got almost Veterancy 1, so overall just fine for him. T-245's pushing up and trying to deal with the Sturmpanzer. Sturmpanzer are going to be able to just barely escape. Of course, we have a couple of Grenadiers coming in. They're not going to be able to get any Panzerfaust off on the T-34s, and they're going to escape quite rapidly. Sherman Firefly also on the field for Black Aragon. He has also rebuilt his forward mortar pit just to get that extra bit of reach against the Germans in the eastern corner. At this point, however, as the announcer just pointed out, the Allies are down to 300 points, whereas the Germans are down to 360. So overall, there's a bit of an advantage coming in for our German players. And considering that the German late game is starting to kick in a little bit with, King Tigers, Elephants, etc., the Allies are going to really need to up their plans, get them rolling a little bit faster, because if they just let the Germans build up for a longer duration, the Germans right now have a double cap on them, and so of course they're actually winning when it comes to VPs, they're winning when it comes to units, because they're reaching the late game. The Allies need to do something about all of this, and the best way to do that, I think, at this point would be to just kind of concentrate the forces of 1 or 2, or maybe even 3 players into one area and try to eliminate one enemy player at a time. As you can see right now, the Germans are just kind of fighting their own individual, I guess, they're kind of trying to fight 1v1s, but they're not really succeeding because the Allies are playing a little bit more in a team-oriented fashion. As you can see right now, we have Fireflies and Shermans and Jacksons and Engineers teaming up to fight the Zhukov forces. Of course, right now it seems like Venom Root is coming in to support with his Tiger, but this could be a very, very potentially dangerous place to be. In fact, it is going to be a very dangerous place to be for the Tiger. 3 tank destroyers in a line, not what he wants to see. Does retreat and manages to escape. At the same time, the Panther is in not the best position as well. So 2 Jacksons and 2 Fireflies in the area. The Elephant here is in a very precarious spot because the Allied tanks over here can just flank it. Of course, yeah, plastering the frontal armor of that Jackson, easily destroying it. And here comes also a flank from the Stug. Stug is going to go down if the Allied tanks do decide to destroy it. However, it seems like the Stug is going to be able to take down the first Firefly. Very, very cost-effective trade coming in, even if he loses the Stug, which he will not. So that was very, very bad for the Allies overall. They weren't able to destroy any vehicles from the Germans, and they lost 2 of their own, so that was not good. But it looks like on the right side, we may have an avenging attack from Black Aragon and his Soviet teammate ZZZ. They're going to be coming in with all their T-34-85s and Firefly as well. Where's the Comet, though? Comet's being repaired still, so there was a little bit of a uncoordinated, I guess you could say, or miscoordinated assault, which results in the death of a T-34, and the rest of the Allied tanks are kind of being pushed back slowly but surely by the German infantry. Where is the Allied infantry? I have no idea. So we have 1 squad from Black Aragon, definitely needs to build a few more, but he doesn't really have the manpower. And a couple of squads from ZZZ back at base, so not really able to do too much right now. The Allies also need to send a couple of squads to try to capture the center. They don't want the Germans just being allowed to leave this point unguarded and keep it, of course, keep it under their control. That would be very, very bad. And oh, Pack 43 in a pretty hidden position from Xiaoluo. I think that's a pretty big mistake, considering that Xiaoluo doesn't really have a lot of manpower. He probably could have spent it better on some infantry. So the Germans are licking their wounds on the left side, kind of repairing their vehicles, as are the Allies on the right. We have 3 T-34-85s, 2 Comets, and a Firefly. So definitely on the right side, the Allies are in a very, very strong position. And I also see a artillery piece, 2 artillery pieces, one from Xiaoluo and the other from Agile Fat. So this could help in dealing a lot of damage to our British player with its emplacement. Yeah, not gonna be all that good. But On the right side, the Allies at least have the edge when it comes to frontline units. Comet comes in, throws a grenade on the Pak-40, also coming in with some artillery, precision barrage. Of course, since it's a precision barrage, it precisely fell on where it was, and where it was called, rather, and that was a total miss because it was called on an empty patch of ground. So overall, the precision barrage kind of working against its user right now. Yeah, overall, it doesn't really seem like the Axis and the Allies really are ready to make another big push coming. And, well, okay, so ZZZ is moving his T-3 force to the left side. He is going to try to flank, I'm guessing, but he's going to make a mistake and run straight through the munitions point, although he might be able to avoid detection from the Germans. Yep, he will be able to avoid detection from the Germans. He's far enough away from that point. However, he needs to spring the trap and spring it quickly because it seems like Venom Rue has the same idea coming in. And so the two forces are just going to headbutt into each other, and this is going to be to the advantage of the Germans with a Panther and a Tiger. Although the Panther and Tiger, instead of sitting back and using their advantage, are going to go Fury mode and just charge straight into the T-3485s. Along with the support of the Pershing, I'm guessing that this Tiger isn't long for this world, although the T-3485s kind of do a weird move and move back towards the Allied front lines instead of just staying in the rear and allowing their 76mm to target the rear armor of the Panther and the Tiger. So that kind of allows the Panther to escape, and the Tiger almost dies, and one of the T-34s goes down unnecessarily. But overall, this tank swarm from our Allied players will be able to destroy all of the defensive emplacements from Venom Rue and also all the infantry from Zurkov and Venom Rue. So this is going to be a very, very, very decisive moment. If the Allies can recapture the left side of the map that has been denied to them since the start of the game, they're going to have a pretty good advantage when it comes to VPs and resources. They've also managed to get a couple of destroying blows on the Pak-43. It's almost dead and the crew is gone. This is also provoking Zurkov to move his elephant along with his swarm of like mediocre armor. I'm just going to call it Stugs and Ostwinds. The Oststug, as sometimes is referred to, along with the elephant and a Panther from Agile Fat. Of course, this is all going to be a bit of a hodgepodge of forces that could deal with the Allied force on the left, or it could completely fail, who knows. Impressive explosion from the Wasp carrier, actually. Centaur. Yeah, so yeah, it looks like the elephant is really carrying the day for the Germans and forcing back all the Allied armor with its long-range, strong 88mm. There goes that poor Centaur. Looks like the right side is mostly quiet. That is very fortunate for the Axis. That is because the Allied vehicles were just kind of still repairing on this side, so they were not able to support the push on the left with a push on the right. Interestingly, it looks like one of these artillery pieces was destroyed. I'm guessing with the same tactic. So Black Aragon is pushing in his Comet to get a spot for the precision barrage, and that's interesting. But that precision barrage, again, the fact that this precision is really working against Black Aragon because he's keeping to call it on, like, trying to get as much, I'm guessing, of the enemies in the middle of the, I guess you could say, target circle as possible. But how you need to do it is you need to get the enemy you want them dead the most into the center of the circle so that the most shells hit that, and that's gonna save one of these artillery pieces from almost certain destruction, I would say. But still, this should be a wake-up call for the Germans that their sort of right flank is very exposed, and they should be bringing in all these Sternpiles and all the engineers to lay down a bit of a minefield in front of the howitzers, support that with a couple of pack guns, and allow the Allied forces to come in with their tanks, sort of hit the mines, be detracked, and then finish them off with the AT guns, and perhaps keep a couple of medium tanks in the area in reserve, so that when the enemies are trying to pull back, you can chase them down and destroy them. That would be a very smart move, I feel like, from the Germans, but at the same time, I don't think that any of them are really thinking about minefields. They've really got other things to worry about, such as the left side VP, which is falling to the Germans yet again. So the Germans keeping their VP lead at 270 to 224. Not really as strong as it could have been. And at this point, it seems like ZZZ is pushing through in the center. However, he's going to be forced to retreat. This T-3485 very, very obviously goes down to the swarm of big cats, both panthers and tigers in the area. Going to be very, very hard for our allied players to deal with. Of course, we have a couple of what the? Did a plane crash onto the Centaur? I have no idea. We have a couple of Fireflies, along with the remaining T-3485s, which right now are trying to flank around. And also we have the Comets coming in from Black Aragon. Comets dealing with one of these Panthers and also drawing the attention of pretty much the entire German armored force, it seems. Where's the Tiger, though? The Tiger's been left alone in the center, and that allowed the swarm of tank destroyers coming in, accompanying the Pershing and the Centaur, to destroy it quite easily. They also destroyed the Brumbear. So overall, it seems like the Allies are winning in the center quite handily. This force of Allied armor can easily exploit this breakthrough and try to charge across the sort of dead wasteland that is the center, trying to take out as many rear line buildings and units as possible. It looks like also the second artillery piece was destroyed. There is a elephant on the right side, which is being repaired, so I'm guessing that there was a bit of a fight with the Comets. Indeed, it was a fight, because one of the Comets is missing or likely killed. So overall, the Allies are on the upswing. I see that they have managed to get together a couple of task groups of both medium, I guess you could say high tier medium armor, and tank destroyers, with Fireflies, Jacksons, Comets, and Pershings, and of course T-3485s, and they're able to use that as a bit of a spearhead for their pushes, and that's of course working out, but they're also suffering some pretty heavy casualties on their medium armored force. So what they could try to do is, they could, I guess, try to revitalize their infantry, get a lot more infantry, do what Good Boy right now is doing, and send the infantry in first so that they scout out the surroundings and see what kind of dangers there might be to their armor. But overall, it seems like they're doing just fine on their own. There goes another Stug, and the Ostwind is also in trouble. Overall, the Elephant is still being a bit of a pain in the ass for our allied players, but at the same time, it's being held very, very far back due to the danger of flanks coming in from either the Comets or the T-3485s. So this could overall be a decisive moment for the Allies if they can sort of pin the Germans in the base and destroy their forces kind of piecemeal as they're coming in, sort of going back to base, being repaired, and coming back in one by one. That's kind of usually what happens when you approach the new base. If they can do that, then, well, they're going to get a pretty good hold on the entire rest of the map and overall get the win. Seems like also the that's the Brits Naps. Yeah, he's gonna be able to capture the left side with a couple of engineers. He's also got a priest. God damn it! And he's got a sexton. Sexton's gonna open up on the howitzers, I'm guessing, right? No, on the battlegroup headquarters. Still, this could be a little bit of extra help against the defensive emplacements near the base. And the Centaur is gonna murder from the rear this MG42 team, and also then use its strong cannons to destroy that bunker in a fit of rage. Yeah, that's a triple cap actually. So the Allies getting that triple cap are going to be very, very good. Of course, as you may all know, free VPs every 3 seconds equals 1 VP per second. That is the rate at which you get drained when triple caps come in. So the Germans at 187 have a little over 3 minutes to recapture one of these points. But Naps, I guess perhaps with wisdom, managed to build another Bofors in the center that's going to basically just defend it against any kind of isolated infantry pushes. The Elephant can destroy it, but the Elephant in the center like this is, especially in the mud, is very, very vulnerable to flanks. It's essentially kind of yeah, an elephant in the mud. It's just stuck. It can't really do too much because right now, yeah, this is what it's gonna come down to. We have 4 Comets. That's very, very scary from Black Aragon, and he's gonna be able to destroy anything and everyone that's in the base. And also, if he wants, come around and destroy the elephant. So I'm thinking that if that plus the T-34-85s from ZZZ on the left, plus the Jackson slash Pershing battle group from Good Boy all come in to deal with this elephant in the center, yeah, they're going to be able to easily overrun it. And of course, with the triple cap, the Axis don't really have a lot of time. They have still 2 minutes left on the clock. That's not going to be enough if they're kind of just sitting back at base. It seems like they're kind of really not realizing the danger they're in. Just seems like they don't really know what's going on, that they're actually losing a lot of VPs. Yeah, they're just not really putting a lot of effort into pushing in. So Xiaoduo finally managing to get out a second KT. He was definitely slowed down by his building of artillery pieces and Pack 43s because he's got 316 extra fuel upon what he already has. And of course, the KT is around that price, so he could have gone for 2 KTs or a KT and a couple of other vehicles during this entire time, and that would have definitely helped out the Germans in the front lines. So it looks like the Bofors was destroyed by the Germans, and they're now able to push in a lot of engineers in the center. There is some perimeter overwatch coming in from Naps, and that's gonna deal a little tiny bit of damage to these engineers. I mean, perimeter overwatch never really seems to work out all too well. And here we come. Right side, we have the Comet Tank Army coming in and destroying the KT. I'm guessing this KT has absolutely no chances. We have only got a Brim Bear in the area. Now the Elephant gets activated and starts to move slowly towards the right side of the map, but this is not going to be enough because especially with the marked vehicle, the Comets are going to be able to just circle strafe the KT and destroy it. 3 Comets are still fully repaired, and they can come back onto the Germans at any time. And right now, the Allied tank force on the left is also repaired and is coming in with another nice flank coming in with these 4 T-34-85s. They're going to be able to destroy this Ostwind. That's definitely a bit of an overkill along with the Jackson, but this is going to squeeze the Germans into this little corner of the map, and I'm thinking that they're going to not survive this. Yep, so the steel squeeze coming in from all angles is going to be the end of this poor Elephant in the Mud. Right now, it seems like also the Panther is in the area, but it's not going to be enough. I mean, especially if the Comets come in roaring after the right side. Along with the Pershing, yeah, this is going to be the end of the German tank force. It's also going to be the end of the German VP supply. They've only got 46 points remaining with 2 VPs capped. They're not going to be able to sustain this for much longer, especially considering that they have absolutely no forces ready to push back into the VPs. And that's going to be the end of the game, I'm guessing. There goes the Panther. The Brim Bear will follow suit very soon, and the Elephant is going to be the only one left, only by virtue of the fact that he was the first to run away. So along with the Precision Barrage, the Allies are going to be able to easily destroy this thing. If they can get around it, it's going to be even easier. And with the damaged engine, it's got no chance against all those tanks. In fact, it looks like we have just a little tiny bit of force left on the left side that's not in the base for the Germans. And right now, it seems like the Comets will be able to destroy Stug. Zurkov calls his teammates the worst ever, although he's floating 4,000 manpower and 340 fuel. So perhaps he was actually talking about himself? I do not know. Yeah, he definitely wins the floating Olympics gold medal today. I mean, look at that, 4,200 and 350 fuel. That is definitely a little bit too much. That is what happens when you build only Ostwinds. I hate Ostwinds so much. So I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the game. It was pretty entertaining. I had a lot of fun watching these Comets. Overall, I feel like the Germans, as I said a little bit earlier, definitely tended to gravitate toward the 1v1v1v1 approach, or I guess 4 1v1s. They tried to do that, but the Allies actually played 2 2v2s because we had pretty much the entire game Naps and Good Boy on the left and Black Aragon and ZZZ on the right. Although at the end they started to kind of interchange, especially with ZZZ going on the left and Good Boy making a few cameos on the right. This was overall a much better played as a team game from the Allies. So that's kind of why I think they won. And it kind of comes down to it. pretty much in every team game and company of heroes, especially 4v4s and 3v3s, how well you can turn the game from 4 different players doing their own thing to a actual 4v4. And the allies in this particular game did that pretty well. So overall, I feel like that kind of gave them the victory. Thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.